Turning now to an issue facing young women on college campuses across America. According to American Association of University Women, 19% of undergraduate women say they have experienced an attempted or an actual sexual assault since entering college. At least 8 top universities are under investigation for mishandling sexual harassment and assault cases on their campuses in violation of the Title IX of the Civil Rights Act that prohibits discrimination based on gender. Our guest, Dana Bolger, survived an assault on campus. She is co-founder of the awareness campaign Know Your 9 that seeks to inform students about their protection under Title IX. Also with us via Skype from Malvern, Pennsylvania, is Brett Sokolow, President and CEO of the National Center for Higher Education Risk Management. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for taking some time with us. I do appreciate it. Brett, if I can ask you to sit tight just one second. Dana, let me speak to you first. I know that you are a survivor of a sexual assault. When you went to school, did you have any idea of the risks that face young people and what your rights were after this terrible tragedy happened to you?
Thanks so much for having me. No, I didn't. I had no idea that I would be sexually assaulted during my time at Amherst, and maybe more importantly, I had no idea what my rights were following my assault. When I went to report that I was raped and stalked by a fellow student to a dean at my college, he encouraged me to take time off from school, go home, get a job at Starbucks, and wait until my rapist had graduated before coming back to school. And at the time, I actually followed his advice because I had no idea what Title IX was, and I had no idea that Title IX forbade that kind of mistreatment from administrators.
Dana, to hear you say that, that's so alarming to me, to hear that this violent crime against you was sort of ignored in some ways. What was your reaction at the time? Did you think that that was normal advice, or did you feel that you were being marginalized in some way?
You know, at the time, I felt like there was something, morally wrong about what my dean was saying. I didn't know, though, that it was also legally wrong. And I think that that's a really big problem right now, and one of the reasons why we launched Know Your 9, which is an education campaign to educate college students about their rights under Title IX to education free from sexual violence and harassment, and to really empower them to end sexual violence on their campuses and call out administrative abuses against them.
Brett, can you speculate why so few know their rights under Title IX, and also why so few victims even report their assaults?
Oh, sure. I mean, one of the main disconnects with respect to Title IX is that for most of its existence now, more than 40 years, it's been known as a statute that levels the playing field in university athletics. And so the extension of the courts in the late 1990s to protect victims of sexual assault and sexual harassment really hasn't been very well publicized. And so I really think that students need a campaign like Know Your 9 to be aware of the rights that they have that Title IX provides. In terms of victims reporting, the campus statistics are about maybe 1 in 10 women who are victims come forward, maybe even fewer men who are also victimized. And I think part of that is that they don't know that they will get an administrative response that isn't secondarily victimizing, that they'll get the services that they need. But also part of it, of course, is our society attaches stigma to being victimized such that it doesn't feel safe to come forward. And one of the challenges is for campuses to create that safe space that encourages victims to trust administrators with their story and trust they are going to do the right thing when they hear it.
What should be, Dana, the responsibility of the university when a student that has been left in their care on their campus is attacked and there's nothing done? I mean, you've started Know Your 9, which is an awareness program for the students, but where's the role in the responsibility of the universities?
Well, first, I think universities need to stop treating campus rape as a PR problem or, something that's going to challenge their reputation. The problem is that right now, when they sort of see rape as a liability, they're not being open and transparent and supporting survivors, and really prioritizing student safety and well-being over the school's own reputation. I think the second thing, though, is that they really need to be issuing meaningful sanctions against perpetrators. When schools are punishing rapists less seriously than laptop theft, which is what's going on at Amherst, I think the school is sending a very clear message to rapists that their violence will be tolerated and even condoned, and to the campus community as a whole that sexual violence really isn't that big of a deal.
Brett, let me come back to you. Tell me what the objectives of your organization is, the National Center for Higher Education Risk Management. What was it that you hope to do?
Well, in a sense, if we're successful at what we do, there'll be no need for a Know Your Nine campaign, right? Because students won't have to protest and insist that their universities are providing the rights they deserve by law. It's our job to make sure that college administrators understand what those rights are. And so we're a law and consulting firm. We do training for campus Title IX coordinators, for people who do investigators. We do training on intake, how to help a victim who has been assaulted. And we also do a lot of consulting on the prevention piece, because as much as in Dana's case, she didn't get the right kind of response, colleges also need to be more effective at prevention so that there are fewer cases to respond to, hopefully.
Yeah, Brett, I wonder, would it be your recommendation for a student that is assaulted, in addition to going to the authorities on the college campus, but also to go to the local authorities that are off campus?
Well, every victim has to decide the path that's right for them. And I certainly think that if a victim wishes to notify external authorities, the college has to help them. There's a federal law called the Clery Act, which is a sort of a tandem law to Title IX in some ways, that requires a college or university to help a victim notify local law enforcement if he or she wishes to do that. What we don't want to do, though, is force that, because, of course, victims need to have the autonomy to decide whether they take action, whether they take action internal to the campus or they take action external to the campus. I'd like to be in the position of saying that every victim should trust the criminal justice system. Unfortunately, very few victims find justice is the result of attempting to prosecute a campus rapist. And so sometimes the campus process is the most viable option that's there. It's private, unlike the criminal process. It can be completed very quickly, unlike the criminal process. It's subject to a much lower standard of proof than the criminal process. And so I don't want it to be necessarily seen as an alternative for victims, but as a viable option. And part of our goal at the National Center is to make sure that the campus process is as good as it can be at making sure that a victim's rights are protected.
And Dana, very quickly, I heard you trying to jump in. What was it that you wanted to add?
I think it is just really important, as Brett was saying, to emphasize the need for really meaningful substantive prevention education. And I think this means going beyond sort of the no means no, this is the definition of consent, to really talking as well about male entitlement to female bodies, power, privilege, what it means to be a man, masculinity and femininity.
Mm-hmm. Dana Bolger, thank you so much for your time. Brent Sokolow as well. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. And this is Arise America.